Welcome back to 20 somethings, the cathartic listening experience for anybody who is just trying to figure it the fuck out. We're doing it together. I'm going to hold your hand while we do this, and you're going to hold mine. Today's episode, we'll be talking about feeling behind in life. Okay. Feeling behind in life is a topic, and we're going to talk about why you should not feel like that. Why that just makes no sense. And I think a lot of that feeling comes from giving in to that timeline that we talked about last episode, but also not leaning into being present and where your feet are. When you're constantly living in the past or constantly trying to plan and live in the future, you're never right here. Come, join us. The water's warm. It's great here. Come be with us. So the three main points that we'll talk about for today. Questioning like this universal timeline. Who comes up with this stuff? Also, we'll be getting into my hot take that adhering to a timeline is counterproductive for somebody in their 20s. And then we'll get into why it might be so difficult to be present. Has it always been this difficult? For me, personally speaking. And then we'll get into story time. So without further ado, let's talk about it. So the universal timeline. Let's define the thing. I'm referring to this sense of expectation that people may have in any point of their lives. A timeline starts when you're born and ends when you're unborn. I think it's a huge point of anxiety for a lot of people. I think now more than ever, because some things are turning out to not be as easily accessible or accomplished for us in our 20-somethings, I feel like there is a shift away from the timeline, which I think is great. But I need to say that I don't think timelines are bad. I just think when you put a lot of extra pressure on yourself to adhere to something that you've put in a timeline, your quality of life has the potential to be ruined by such things. Ruined is a really strong word. But I think, putting the extra stress on you is not good. Longevity comes from happiness. Did you know that? I bet you didn't. I'm letting you know. If you want to live a long life, you have to be happy, be less stressed, right? And I also have to make a disclaimer that I won't be getting in to the topic about kids and things like that. Like that timeline makes sense, right? There's a biological aspect to that. I'm really just talking about somebody who might be caught up in I'm not CEO of this company right now, or I'm not married right now. Those kind of things I think really should not be stressed in your 20-somethings. So to talk more about the universal timeline, I don't know if it's really completely possible to untether from it. And I think that's because it does serve as a good guideline for things. But when we think about what keeps it in place and what reinforces it, I think we can look at just history, right? Your parents reinforce it, TV reinforces it. It makes you think you should be somewhere, depending on what your culture is like. All these things can pour into keeping that in place, which makes it all the more difficult to then be I'm going to put this timeline down for a second, I think also when it comes to your goals and whatever goals that you may have it be the gym, have it be work, relationship, whatever, it's really easy to look at people who are successful in the thing, who have done and succeeded at it, and then feel inadequate because you are not where they are at in the timeline. And you don't really hear much of the process for things either, right? So let's use the example of I'm not married, right? Let's say you have a goal to be married by 30. I don't think that's a bad goal at all. I think that's a good goal. I think you know what you want and you know what you want out of your life. And you see people who are married. You see people who are living happy lives and whatever the case may be. And maybe you have great examples of it. But there is so much that you don't see that goes into marrying a person. so much of that process, I think, also involves you having to first marry yourself. The reason why I think it's counterproductive for somebody in their 20s is because your 20s is all about exploration. Like, you're learning, you're growing. This is the time to make changes, and then you can settle into something later. I feel like when you set things in stone very early on, the minute you feel that energy shift, or the minute you might say, maybe this is not for me, you've already invested so much time and energy, and then you end up regretting your decision. I'm not speaking from experience. And again, I'm not saying don't have a timeline. Have it, but allow it to be flexible. It doesn't have to be rigid. And just because you're not where you want it to be, the world is not going to end at all. I think if you're not where you thought you would be, that's not the time to then rush it. It's the time to look at what are the steps actually needed to get what I want. If I want to be married and I'm not yet, what's missing? How is my relationship with my partner? How is my relationship with myself? How is my relationship with their parents? Like, there's so many things that go into building relationships and all that. It's not as simple as, will you marry me? And I do. And then the thing is ever evolving, right? Like, it's not like you get married and then that's it. Like, you have to rededicate yourself to that person as you grow and evolve, because you will then become these different people as time goes on, as circumstances change. There's so many things that go into it. But I believe that a lot of the times we are fed the happy-go-lucky story of it, or even if there is mention of the struggle and hard times for a goal, you really don't get the sense of it unless you're going through it, right? But keep that in mind. Like, your goals are not going to be convenient, timeline or no timeline. So going back to timelines are counterproductive at this stage in your life. There's a cattail on me. So to be clear, I'm not yucking your yum. Timelines are great. Just don't be rigid to the point where you are feeling this immense amount of pressure about thing when that doesn't have to be the case. You know? Like, if you can make your life easier, why would you not? You live one life. You could be stressed out if you want, but I just feel like you don't have to be. It doesn't have to be hard. And then I can only think of my own experiences because I don't know what you've gone through. I'm open to hearing it, right? I love that. But for me, if I followed my timeline, which was get married, have children, get a job somewhere. I think I wanted to do like counseling. Oh, I think I wanted to be a traveling psychologist. That's what I wanted way back when. If I did that, I don't think I would have learned all the things that I learned about myself in the time that I did. Doing so many different things allowed me to have this expedited sense of like wisdom come in. And I am very grateful for that. I think that if I had kids, like once you have kids, it's like the ultimate sacrifice. And that's not even a bad thing. I think it's literally a fact. I think the ability to have kids or having kids is the biggest gift in the world. I don't think there's anything bigger than having and birthing another human with their own like skeletal system and eyeballs and lungs. Like, that's crazy. Like, that is a thing that keeps us here. That's insane. That's amazing. And I think what goes into it is equally as big, right? That sense of sacrifice, I think, is equally... Look at this man. Look at this man. Hello? He's like falling off the couch. You're falling off the couch. Anyway, as I was saying, I don't know where my camera was at before. Anyway, I think having kids is the biggest gift, and it comes with the biggest sacrifice. And I don't know if I would have been able to have kids and like quit my corporate job. and then just live off of like little side hustles while I was trying real estate. Nothing about what I'm saying is knocking it at all. Obviously, I'm speaking from a perspective of I didn't have kids, and so I don't know if I could apply this to that lifestyle. Obviously, if I had kids, that would not be my frame of thought, like my frame of thinking. It would not be the same. It would be different. I don't think I would be unhappy. I think it would just be different. So that. I also just believe that like right now should be all about you, because you spent all your time growing up, going through high school, going through college, kind of doing what you were told and what you were taught. But true exploration comes from like relationships and different things once you have full autonomy. And I think you should spend your 20s like really relishing in the opportunity to be like, this is the first time that I am operating on my own accord. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna figure it out. That does not mean you cannot have fun in any other way. I'm simply saying now's the time to do what you want. Let it be for you. And let's say you're a listener who has kids. Let's say you're somebody who you're like, girl, that ship sailed for me. Find time to find yourself, mom. Find time to put everybody else down and pick yourself up. I heard that when you have kids, your life is not necessarily your own anymore, in the sense of like, it can't just be about you. Like it has to be about the both of you guys. And I think it is so important for you to establish your sense of identity outside of that baby, which is pretty difficult to do because your lives are tethered. And I don't necessarily have recommendations. I don't have kids. I'm not going to act like I know what it's like. I can only encourage you to find that time for yourself. Not as mommy, but as bad bitch, whatever. And then we're going to go back to mommy mode. That's okay. All of my best friends have kids. I do not have kids. These are things I say to them. Okay. Why is it so difficult being present? I don't know. I'm adjusting because my knees are numb. Okay, why is it so difficult to be present? I don't know. I think we are just like yearning, and we will yearn for as long as we exist as humans. Why? I don't know. Different life circumstances, different socioeconomical issues, things that make it difficult to swallow and accept what currently is. Who knows? I don't know. But I think that I have such huge ambitions that are accompanied by gigantic like spurs of energy that I need something like now. So then that keeps me eternally yearning. I'm like, ugh, I want this. It doesn't help that like instant gratification comes very easily nowadays. But what also makes it more difficult is that in the midst of me wanting something now, something that is meant to come later, I am not giving myself space to accept what is happening right now. I'm not giving myself space to accept who I am right now. Accept the grind of that process. It's really difficult. I think I lose what's presently going on, and I do not honor where I'm at right now versus where I have been. I think if I constantly yearned for the next project, the next thing, the next movie, in a way that was sourced from desperation, I would never be happy. And I'd never be able to give myself my own flowers. That would be miserable. And I'll get into a story time of like realizing that I was not where my feet was. So in therapy, I realized that I was constantly living in fast forward. But this was actually due to being emotionally avoidant about things. So I tend to be logical. I have emotions. They're very big. But my logical side stands out and is used the most because it was such a great survival tool. I think anybody who lives in a big city and has just gone through life, like you have different tools that are equipped for you, and being logical is one of those things. I used it a lot to carry big moments, big emotional moments, and I used to carry all of my emotions on my own. Like, I did not cry because like the logic just overwrote that, and it was just like I was not in my emotional body whatsoever. But I'm not without emotions. I actually have very deep emotions, and they're not surface level either. Like, they run very deep and they're very intricate. Expressing myself when things were hard was definitely a challenge. And sometimes I still have moments where my words get stuck in my throat. Like, if I'm having a hard time for something, like, I can literally feel that I can't say it. It's really crazy to clock in real time, but it does happen. But every time I start over and I take a chance with like jumbling up my trajectory, I grow a little bit, right? I learn a little bit more. Through acting, I've become more vulnerable, more into my emotions. I can't give all the credit to acting. It's a combination of just like my partner and going through therapy when I did. All the things lined up really perfectly. So now I'm like an open channel for things to just flow through, and I can accept it. And I feel a lot better now that I do, to be completely honest. And I do cry. I cry now. But she really did play a huge role in helping me break those like emotional boundaries that I put on myself. And it's so funny that she is the complete opposite of me in every way. And we're always on opposite ends of the spectrum for everything. If I take my coffee, 2 creamers and 1 sugar, she takes her coffee, 2 sugars and 1 creamer. Like, that is how opposite it is. It's on every level. Oh, but it works so well. We're like 2 gears in the same thing. Yeah. There is no right or wrong way to go about life. You embrace the changes and you continue to strive toward what you want. And that's it. If what you want is not working, that's okay. Figure out something else. Maybe that thing needs to change. Maybe the reins on it are too tight. And then you can ask yourself, well, why are the reins too tight? What's connected to this that's keeping me so oriented with this goal to the point that I am stressed out about it? All these things. So I leave you with this. I am not in the business of telling you what to do, who to be. Do what you want. I'm not yucking your yum. Live your life. I just want you to be the happiest you that you can be. And if that means having a hard conversation with yourself of like, okay, where am I now versus where I wanted to be? And embracing all the things that you feel like you fell short in. And embracing it is going to help you feel better. And embracing it politely and kindly. Last episode, we talked about being attractive to yourself. Be nice to yourself. All those things are going to help you. This does not mean that it will come without compromises. It doesn't mean that it'll feel good at all. But I think having a solid foundation in who you are before anything is going to help your goals immensely. Taking the time to undo things and get messy to find that foundation is totally worth it. Taking time to question everything that you've ever programmed to be fact or true or absolute, taking the time to undo that and getting crazy with it is so worth it. And just make sure it's according to you, the book of you. Anyway, I want to leave you better than I found you. As always, as always, as always. And if I've done that, I'm very happy. Love that. And if I did not, they'll be blowing up my line. I'm sorry. Okay? It's not on purpose. My bad. Big yawn. Okay. Anyway, that's all for this week. I'll see you later.